Should we start with Europe versus USA and just be controversial?
Okay, yeah, sure. Sure.
Okay, who's better, Europe or the USA?
I think I can't say USA coming from France. It would be too bad for my culture.
You can though.
My family.
You can say it. You're allowed to. No, it's not about who's better, but like, how is it different?
I just love health insurance too much to say that USA are the best.
Well, no, but you just have free healthcare. We have to pay for insurance.
No, we have to pay for insurance too.
Oh, you do?
But like the whole system is just like well more like well run.
Got it. Okay. Well, yes, we don't have free healthcare.
Yeah.
We suck.
Art wise, New York.
Yeah, but why?
Because it's just so open to beginners. There's not that like weird aspect of we're gonna look at you, like look down on you a bit just because you're a beginner and you start. And I feel like it's not like not everyone has his chance, you know. And like in New York, or just like in the United States, but like more in New York, it's just like, yeah, whatever. You can like suck because you're beginning. It's like totally fine.
Yeah.
You can just start. Like
Yeah.
do it, bro. You know?
Yeah. Whereas like, I guess Europe is a bit more like fine art. Like there's a way to do things. This is how we do it.
I mean, I know that I was telling you that. Like I feel like it's changing, but I'm just not really into these like circles right now. So I couldn't say. But I know it is changing. Like I know that in Paris and everything, you do have like some like new galleries that are way more like, you know, like changing the codes and everything and not like super like picky about the wood that you're going to use for your frame because it's like super like, you know, just all the rules that you have.
Yeah.
But I'm just not there enough to notice and to know. So maybe it's just my point of view because I don't know enough. And I'm not there. So I couldn't really say.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I also feel the same thing. But you know what's interesting about like just being here in Spain for like the past month and a half, almost 2 months, like one thing that's different is the work-life balance. And I know you and I talk about it all the time. And I feel like as an artist, like work-life balance is really important. And I think a lot of artists like don't prioritize the balance where they're working too much. They're like neglecting their health, their physical health, their mental health, like, and they're also just not experiencing life, experiencing the world. And it's like, I feel like you're not going to have anything really to say or to speak about or to portray in your art if you're just like, if you're just working, like you're not, you're just removing all of your like inspiration. Right. And
do you think that it's more an American thing? And it like reflects, like it impacts like the artist in the United States. Do you think it's because of that?
I do. Yeah. Like I think like, yeah, we have, and I like it. I think it helps you drive yourself. I think like being surrounded by all these people who are putting in crazy hours and like corporate America and like blah, blah, blah. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, yo, like this is not sustainable or normal or good for you.
Or healthy
or healthy. Yeah.
And you know, that was actually something that you told me that actually really helped me with the not feeling guilty about doing something else and not spend every minute on my art.
Yeah.
Because you need to experience life to then get inspired and then have something to say and then the urge to create.
Yeah.
And I think before you told me that, I was a bit like, yeah, it's the weekend, but like I need to create something. Like I'm losing sometimes if I'm not. And then it's like, no, you're not losing any time. You are putting some effort in that. And you actually kind of like preparing the next work.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's like almost like a research period.
Yes,
like,
it can count as like fucking work hours, you know?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Because you're just like browsing around and sourcing and just see whatever is like worth like telling about in your art, like the next Monday or anything. Yeah,
I fully agree. Yeah, and it goes back to like being an artist is not about the work that you produce. It's about the way that you live. It's about who you are. It's about being in the world. It's not about putting things into the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, and obviously, yes, we have to create things to be artists, but it's like, it's more about the way that you conduct yourself. It's more about, oh, I'm noticing like this thing when I'm out, or, oh, I felt this way when we were doing this, or like whatever.
True.
So yeah, Yeah.
So that kind of leads to the inspiration
Yes.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I think that's one of the things I feel more in Europe. I feel less pressure because I'm not as, yeah, go ahead. I feel less pressure to like, to have to produce, make things because I'm not surrounded by people who are in that mindset. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because in the States, in New York, like it's like that. And that can also be inspiring too, because it pushes you. But like art is not manufacturing. Like we don't need to manufacture like 1,000 products to be like it's not like
you
the
don't
more
have to
we
be
make.
efficient.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's more about depth and quality over
There's no
the
efficiency
amount.
needed or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And I do also feel like if everyone is so efficient around you and also like in their art or just how we were saying, like how easy it is to have access to whatever people are doing in their art, I just can discourage you so easily because then you're just like first a feeling that I had like so much when I started like art, like painting like fully, I was like, but why would people need me in the art world, you know?
It's called
like,
imposter syndrome.
Yes, no, obviously, because it's just so easy and just like even more nowadays with the socials and everything, it's just everything is so easy to find and to see great artists, like so many great artists.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what can I bring more?
Yeah.
You know? And then it's just, I was watching that video and super interesting about like inspiration and everything. And
Which one? Which video?
it's, I don't remember
Oh,
the
okay.
girl. A video.
Okay.
And it was like talking about inspiration and everything. And she was like, yeah, browsing like on Pinterest and Instagram might be like the worst thing because then it's just like, then you're searching for inspiration in like final product, like final art pieces, where you should actually find inspiration in little things that are gonna give you something more and something that you are gonna make a final thing, you know? Right. And I feel like it all made sense because how I was watching like final like paintings and everything, I was like, oh my God, that's so good. Like, how could I ever like do something that good? And then I was just like, oh, but I actually just like that flyer that I saw on the street. And I'm like, oh, but I could do something about that because I'm not, it's just coming back to the stealing things.
Right.
Because I'm not stealing a final product because I'm just stealing
You're
like
stealing
one
a little
idea
excerpt of
and
something.
I'm making it a final product.
Yes.
And
Right.
it just removes all the, I was kind of sad when she was saying that Pinterest was not a, because I fucking love.
You're a Pinterest girl.
I'm still a Pinterest girl. And I mean, it also depends on what you're browsing in Pinterest. Like if you're like abstract painting, then obviously it's just the same old problem of like seeing final products. And you just like, oh my God, this piece of art is insane. But then I'm usually just like browsing, I don't know, just like lace. And then just seeing like different pattern of lace and everything. And I think it's just like how you use it. And I think Instagram is the same. Like it's not bad. It's what is bad is that it's so easy to see the artist's work. It's so easy to get lost in their like on their accounts. But if you're, I don't know, on a magazine Instagram and you're like, oh, I really like the artistic direction of that magazine because it's, I don't know, just like the color that they use, and then it makes you like browse around in a different way and just like approach the inspiration process.
You're not comparing yourself to the or your work to that work. You're drawing from it. Right?
Yeah, because it's not comparable. Because it's not,
of course,
it's not a piece of
them
art.
And it's you.
Yeah.
Or also, when you're saying like if it's a specific
yes.
like
the object is not the same.
Yeah.
So it feels way less as I'm stealing something from an artist. Yeah. You know? Which is a big issue in art. Like for music too.
But
like this how? Feeling of I'm afraid to steal something from someone, you know?
Did you listen to that conversation with Pharrell and Rick Rubin yesterday? Yeah. Were you like, I know you were painting while you listened to it, but were you like listening? Like,
I was.
Okay. Do you know they were talking about like there was a lawsuit with that
yes, with Blurred Lines.
Blurred Lines, right? Because there was some Marvin Gaye song that it like kind of ripped like the groove from.
But all the chords were different, all the melody is different. But because people felt like it was like giving the same feeling, they just were like, oh, that's copying.
Exactly. But
that's
both Rick Rubin and Pharrell were like, But like, no, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Like we're supposed to be.
And that's what is happening.
Yes.
That's what was happening for centuries before us.
Exactly. It comes back to that Picasso quote, and we always quote this. Like good artists, what is it? Good artists. Fuck, we need to get it down.
I think it's like
good artists borrow and like great artists steal or something like that. Something to that effect.
Yeah,
But the whole premise is like, yes, like drawing from other people's work, stealing from people's work. I mean, yes, obviously you're not going to just outright steal it, but like there is a component of what we do that is like, yeah, it's kind of theft. It's kind of taking for ourselves and whatever. Like,
because no one's made from no one's inspiration. Like no one, it applies to everything in life. Just like your clothes, your style, the way you talk.
Yeah,
like nothing is just inherent to you. Nothing comes like in your baby, in your baby you, and it's just okay. I'm just that whole package. No, you're just like seeing from everyone, from your parents.
Yeah,
from
you're a culmination of all the people,
the
culture,
travel that
art,
you've done. And then it just makes you, and there is no reason for art to be different. Like it's still something in your life,
right?
And it's the exact same process as everything else in your life, you know?
Yes. And if like Pharrell like rips a Marvin Gaye drum thing, like Pharrell's not going to do it exactly the way Marvin Gaye did it. No matter how hard he tries to be exactly like it, he won't be able to.
And it won't lead him anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
True. How do you feel about like inspiration in music?
Like in what way?
Like for me, I was saying for art, like for painting, it's more about like browsing visuals or something that excites me and makes me feel that way, and then I want to like turn it around and like take a new turn and do it my way and appropriate it to myself in my painting.
Yeah.
But like it's super different from music, because then you cannot rely on any like visual inspiration. I mean, you can.
But then if you're using visual inspiration, you're almost like cultivating a feeling from the visual, and then reverse engineering the feeling into like the sound and the music and whatever.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I make monthly playlists, like, and it's I think one of the most important things I do for like my inspiration, because it helps me, like the same way you'll browse on Pinterest and be like, oh, like I like that, I can use that. Oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
Maybe that will inspire something. It's the same thing for me with songs. Like, but I'm not like trying to recreate this song. I'm like, oh, I like this thing about this song. I like the drums, or I like the way the chords feel, or the way the vocals performance
or
is,
that
or whatever.
gap here.
Exactly. And I'm like, okay, I can draw like these little pieces of that. I don't have to like recreate the whole thing. So yeah, I definitely get a lot of my inspiration from there. And
I still feel like it's super funny that you have monthly playlists.
Really?
I know. I'm just the type, like, I just have like one playlist with like 1,700.
That's funny to me, because it's like, I don't know. It's like this is every song I've ever liked in the past
in my life.
6 years, basically. And it's like, how do you like that? Would be too intense for me, because
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
It's because like then you just like shuffle and you're like, oh my God, I was not expecting that, or I was not in the mood for that. Yeah. But then I'm like, how do you choose? Like I'm in the mood of February 2020 right now.
No, I think if I'm in a mood for a specific sound, I'm just curating on the spot. Like I'm queuing. I'm making like whatever.
In your monthly playlist, you're just adding it.
No, even without the monthly playlist, but it's more just like an organization, and it allows me to spend more time with the music and be more intimate with like the songs that I chose for that month, because there's a time period. It's like, okay, next month I'm not really gonna come back to this, so let me just get to know these songs and have more depth, like in-depth relationship with them, and then maybe I'll be able to take something. And then where the magic happens is like 6 months down the line, I'm in the studio and I'm like, something's coming in my mind. I'm hearing something and I'm like, oh fuck, wait, what month was that? November 2024. And then I scroll, I find it, I find the song, play it. I'm like, that's the reference right there. Like you hear that thing there. So it's like,
it's fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I think also something that you kind of, I don't know if it's you that kind of made me do it, but like listening to the whole album. It's something that I usually never do.
Yeah.
Because the way, like we were talking about that, like it's super interesting to remember the way you discover a song.
Yeah.
And usually you and I can remember specifically where we listened that song the first time.
Yeah.
Like who told us about what show it was on.
Yep.
And I think it's super interesting to see all the different ways to like discover a new song. And I think because of that, it's usually like specific to one song and not a whole album.
Yes.
And I think, I don't know if it's you because you do listen to like albums.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's you when we like met each other and that I just like got onto that, or if it's with the painting now too. I think it's also really like making me, because when I'm starting like a painting or something, I feel like I want to set the intention, like you were telling me,
Right.
like to write. So like now I write like before and after, so I can have like a little diary and just, it's just a way to set your attention and know in what like headspace you're gonna be.
Yep.
And what you seek and what's the mood and what's the inspiration. And I think for that, I can just put my 1700 like
it's disorienting.
song playlist. It's horrible.
Because it's like, oh, here's
I'm
a song.
fucking like Shakira and then I have McGee and then I'm like, what?
Right, exactly.
Like I can't.
Shakira to McGee is crazy.
I know. So like I think that's really what reinforced the need to like listen to albums.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, there's a line that I'm following.
Yeah.
There's his voice.
There's intention. There's intention in that body
and
of work.
there's a mood. Yeah.
And then that intention I think will kind of like transfer to you as you're listening and in what you're doing and whatever. Yeah, 100%.
And you know, it was fun because I, like at the beginning, I was telling you how during my art class, I kind of didn't give a fuck about what was like happening around. And you know, she was like trying to put us in silent with blues music, with everyone talking, just to see like which environment we like the most to create. And I actually have this like ability to just like once I have my paintbrush like in my hand, I'm just like whatever.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't even notice that sometimes it was silent, sometimes everyone was talking, sometimes there were like fucking classical music, sometimes she was reading poems. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'm just doing my thing.
Damn.
But I can. That's fun because I have that, but I can also focus on a podcast and paint at the same time, like the Pharrell and Rick Rubin one. You know, like I was listening.
Right.
But
So
I can also choose to not, you know, not give a damn about the environment. So weird. So I thought that I knew how it was working, but I actually no, because sometimes I can choose to focus and like, you know.
Yeah. I think it's a product of like the flow state. Like when you're in a flow state, like everything else around you is not happening. But like weirdly, and I think we literally were talking about this yesterday. Like you can be focusing on like the painting, but also be listening and understanding the podcast or the music or like whatever.
Do you think I'm less in a flow state when that happens, or
No, I think you're equally in a flow state.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's just different. Like, okay, because like for example, like I don't think you could be listening intently to a podcast and be like conceptualizing your ideas.
You're totally right. Yeah.
Like you couldn't be like, oh, there's this idea that somebody's speaking about in my brain, but I'm also
okay, super interesting. Yes.
But
because
like,
that comes back. Sorry.
No, I'll let you finish. But then it's just like, if you're working on one like specific thing, like you're working on the faces right now on that painting, and like you're putting detail, you're crafting it, right? You came up with the idea already. Now it's a matter of executing. Then I feel like, in a way, like having something else going on in the background is actually like easing you into that letting you flow even more.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying yesterday about the fact that because like painting, it's like my hands are at work and I'm literally in the crafting like phase.
Yep.
So, no, you're totally right. Because like here, I could just like, it took me so long to do these two phases. Like really like 8 hours maybe.
Yeah.
And so I know where I'm going. Because like for once, it was like really, really detailed and like figurative.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know as a reference, I know where I'm going, I know where I should stop. So now I just need to go through these 8 hours and do it, you know? And that enables me to have my mind somewhere else and
Yes.
still appreciating like the thing that I'm doing.
Exactly.
But it is true that if I'm, which is like the bigger part, I would say, of like doing a painting for me is more about thinking about the composition and like where I'm going to put that, because I like to put like so many little things and I'm like, how is that going to be like relevant here? How is this color responding to this other color? And then for this process, I do need, I mean, I can put a podcast in the background, but I won't hear shit.
You just won't be really hearing it.
It's just gonna be like a background noise and like a fly in my ear. But
100%.
I'm just gonna like be in my head.
But it's the same way like when you're in your art class and everyone's talking, you can tune that out.
Yes,
you're just tuning the podcast out, and in a way, having that background noise there makes you, I don't know, there's something about that like almost allows you to tune it out. Like tuning silence out is almost impossible. Like you can't just be like dead silent, like, you know what I mean?
I can actually do it in
I
silence
can't.
too.
I can't do that. I need something.
Yeah.
Like even if I'm gonna not pay attention to it, I like to have something that's happening. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I thought I would, like I thought I needed something in my ears every time, and sometimes I just like sometimes my laptop just is like out of battery, and I just realize like maybe an hour after, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't have like. I was listening to an album like right before. Why is it not playing?
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, it just like stopped an hour ago and I didn't even notice.
It's funny.
So I think I can actually tune out the silence too. But I think what's different with my art class is that we have no references, and it's just like
you have what?
No references.
Oh, no references.
It's like it's the whole process of just like putting my mind on the paper.
Yeah.
So here I have to tune everything out. Like I'm doing it just like that because I'm really in my head. Because it's like it's not a figurative class. It's not copying anything. So you have to like think it through. And if it's not thinking it through, you have to feel it. And if you're feeling it, then you just have nothing else to focus on. Because you're just like trying to feel and whatever you're doing.
Yep.
And that's why I think that's the difference with like what type of painting I'm doing and is it detailed and whatever.
Yep.
But like when I'm sketching or just drawing, I can do it in a total silence and I won't even notice.
It's crazy.
I know. And I thought I would hate it and I actually don't. I just do it, you know? Yeah.
Okay, what bomb questions do we have right now? Okay, this is some
leaves.
Yeah, it was sorry, I just switched the straw.
That's why.
Okay, I think when it comes to like self-image, self-esteem as an artist, like it's something that I think we all struggle with, like regardless of what level of
that's for
we're
sure.
at, or you know how long we've been doing it, or what phase of it. And I think something that's really intriguing to me is how when you feel good, you forget about all the times you felt bad. Like when you're super inspired and when you're making shit that you really love, you're like, I'm the greatest thing there ever was. Like
I'm obsessed
nobody
with
can get in my way. Like I am the best.
Yeah.
And then when you wake up one day and it's just not happening, you're like, I'm a failure. I shouldn't even be doing this. Fuck this. Like I suck. I'll never be inspired again. Why? Like why can't we be uninspired but recognize that we will be inspired again?
Yep.
And why can't we be inspired and just be like, well hold on. Hold on now.
Don't be so
Like yes,
excited.
like keep going, like feed off of this. This is great, but like this might fucking die tomorrow. Like let's just relax. You know what I mean?
And that's super interesting because that's something that you can find in every type of art. Like you have that in music.
I do it. I watch you do it. Like it's
I'm just no, so true. And I like just like the you know, like the red and mint like painting.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm so good.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like I just did that. And then I'm like, oh my God. And then like we both know it's just after I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I have no inspiration. That shit is crap. Whatever I'm touching is like, no. And it's actually super true that when that happens, you feel like this is the only scenario that could happen.
Yeah.
Like if it's your I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know.
I don't either.
I guess it's just both of these feelings are just so intense that it's super hard to take a step back and try to understand what's happening. And like, I feel like these feelings require that you're fully in the moment and feeling them, you know? And I feel like it actually wouldn't be okay to take a step back at that moment and not let ourselves feel that, because it's too deep to avoid and to take a step back, you know?
Yes.
Like if you're obsessed with yourself because you love what you've done, you deserve it. And like you need to be obsessed because you need to understand that that was great, you know? And I guess then the moment happens where you are like such in a bad place and you can't do anything. I mean, you need to feel that too. And it's super deep and super intense. Maybe just as intense and deep than the other one.
It is, but why do you think you need to feel that?
Because I think if you, like first you always told me like that's what being an artist is.
Yeah.
You cannot.
It sucks.
It does.
Yeah.
And you can choose for everything to just like be right and easy.
Yeah.
Because then it would just be not right, you know, if it's too easy.
You're right.
And I think it's just super important to feel and realize. And I forgot to put my earrings. I feel super naked.
I feel like it's just it's from when you attach your ego or like your identity to the work. That's when you can be so easily swayed by it. Like if you're attaching yourself, your ego is saying my worth is based on the art that I'm creating, my output as an artist. And if you're in a phase of high output, your ego is gonna be really inflated and really feel really good. But when you're in the opposite, it's gonna feel like it's turning in on itself. And I feel like it's hard to remove that because we care so much about it being good.
Yeah.
And it's like hard to really recognize like how can I care about it being good, but then also like detach enough that I'm not gonna let it like ruin or like dictate who I am and like my mood and like whatever. Cause like, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. And I think like we have to like catch ourselves sometimes and not like, you're right. You should feel the moment of joy or feel the moment of loss, but you shouldn't let it spiral into something. You know what I mean? But acknowledge it. Like, oh, I feel really good right now because I did something great. You know?
No. It,
and vice versa.
Of course, should not be something that is gonna make you stop doing something or make you feel like you're the best like artist in the world and like start like looking down on everyone else's work.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like it should not bring you to a spot where it, like when like influences some other aspect that you should not change, you know? But it's still something that you have to go through. And I think it's just super specific to like every artist and like how you deal with things and how long these like phases can last. Like I know that for me, it's usually I sleep on it and then I'm okay, you know? Like I usually
Me too.
feel different in the morning.
100%.
Sometimes I'm gonna feel worse, but sometimes it's gonna be like, nah, that was a yesterday problem. I'm so over it, you know? And I think it's okay for us then because it's just like a day problem, and then we can
reset.
Yeah, and we can think about something else, and we're not feeling stuck like for weeks or months. I mean, not yet. It might happen because it might happen to everyone.
I mean, it's been happening to me. It's no secret that I've been struggling like a lot. Not a lot, but I think I'm proud of myself for not letting it like destroy me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think
accepting it.
I think what it is that like I always had this chip on my shoulder that I needed to prove to myself that like I could do it and do it consistently. And I feel like I've gotten to the point where I see the evidence. I'm like, okay, I've done this. I've been doing this. Like I can do it. Just because it's not happening now does not mean I'm incapable or it's not going to happen again. You know what I mean? And I feel like if I can just be like, all right, nothing happened. It's the 7th day in a row and nothing happened, but it's fine.
And
like,
so be it.
Whatever. Like it'll happen eventually. Yeah.
That's fun because I thought the microphone were about to be like super loud. Like I thought it was like talking in a microphone, you know, but we're actually not hearing a thing. It's like in the computer.
Yeah, it's in the yeah. But then when we listen back, it'll.
Okay.
Yeah. You thought we were gonna like, hello everyone.
Like, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I was like. It's a weird type of microphone.
Like a talk show. Yeah. No, it's just literally.
Oh yeah, like the talk show, like not the talk show, but like the talk when they're like the super like finance bro talk. Don't you have that in your mind? Fuck, I don't know what's the name.
Which one?
Like when you have like someone like super smart doing like a talk, like a
like a TED talk.
Yes.
Yeah. No, this is not a TED talk. Okay, this is a conversation. I don't know. Are any of these jumping out at you? I want you to steer it wherever you want.
We didn't talk about the schedule.
Okay, yeah.
Like how you deal with the fact
that
you're a full-time artist and you're the one saying, okay, I'm going to work from that time to that time and now I'm going to stop.
Yep.
And, because you are full-time artist.
I am, yeah. And right now you are too.
Yeah, but you've been for like a long time.
Yeah.
Like decent amount of time.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I find myself. It's so fluid and like.
It's so dark right now.
I know the sun's gone. Like I go through phases where I'm really like diligent. I'm like on a really tight schedule and I treat it like a day job. And then sometimes I'm on schedules where I'm just like working at whatever hour of the night. And
when you feel it.
Yeah, like I think it's hard for me to be like super inspired about something that I'm doing and just be like, oh, it's 6 o'clock, time to go have dinner or time to like stop working. But I'm like, whoa, like
Obviously.
So that's one thing. And it's hard to be consistent. But I think the closer you can get to just like loose or like rough guidelines of like, okay, I'm going to work from this time to this time. If something happens, I'll keep going. But this is the time that I'm set. Because that's the thing. It's like art is a hobby until it becomes your job. And when it becomes your job, it kind of loses, or it can lose a little bit of the magic because now it's like you're forcing yourself. Sometimes you really don't want to. Like you really don't want to create. Like that's the last thing you want to do and you're forcing yourself to do it. You know what I mean? And
do you feel like that a lot?
I don't feel like it a lot because I love it. And I don't feel like I have a jaded like perspective or like feeling about it.
Yeah.
So I don't. And I think that it's just really like trying to like choose to do things that you love and that you're inspired by, you know what I mean? Like not everything is going to be the most exciting thing in the world for you when you're working as an artist, but I feel like finding the right balance. And I think something that helps me a lot is like having my independent project. Like, so regardless of whatever things I'm working on, I still have this thing that I can come back to that still feels like untouched by like the other. That still feels like my hobby, like my interest.
Okay, cool.
Where I
That's
have like,
fun.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you feel that way because you're not yet making money out of your personal project? So do you feel like because like you can't rely on that to make money?
Yeah.
Because you have the production stuff for that, and you know.
Yeah.
And do you think because money is not involved, then you see it more as a hobby and
Yeah, that's a great question. I think because my intention was never like, yo, let me write songs so I can make $1 million off of this
Be a
music.
rock star.
Yeah, if that happens, that's obviously like the best case scenario. That I hope that happens, but it's like I also hope.
So good.
I know somebody's cooking, but I also hope that doesn't make me treat it differently or make me feel differently about it too. And like I don't think it will. Like
cool.
But that's a really great question. No, I think it has to just be like raw expression.
Yeah.
You know, like true to me and like regardless of whether that's successful or not. I think honestly it will be most successful commercially if I just treat it as the thing that I'm passionate about and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it.
People feel that.
Exactly. That authenticity is coming off of the music because people respond really well to that, you know? And that's like a misconception. Like people think you have to like, especially in music, like everyone's like, oh, I want the hit. And then it's like you listen to hits and like 9 times out of 10, the people who made the hit are like, yeah, we never thought this was going to be a hit. Like, yeah, we love the song.
Yeah, we're fucking around in the garage.
Yeah, like whatever. And now it's the biggest thing ever, but we never sat there saying, let's make a hit, you know? Because if you do that, you can hear, oh, they must have sat down saying, oh, look, we're going to try to make a hit today. And it's like, fuck that. That's not a hit. That's just imitative, you know?
That's great because it leads to what we are thinking about what you use for your art, and like the fact that you don't need the best material and the more like the most expensive microphones and laptop to make good music. And I don't need the most expensive paint.
It's how you use it. It's not about what it is. It's about how you use it.
But I think like as a quite new artist, I would say for me, it's something that I were like thinking about when I started.
I think me too. When I was starting out, I also was obsessed with like, oh, do I have the right gear? Do I have the whatever?
Because it's just so easy to think that it's gonna be easier if you buy all these stuff.
Exactly. You know? And because the fucking companies who make these things are basically telling you that it's gonna be easier. And it's not. It's just not.
And the best example is, as we were saying, is Phineas and Billie Eilish.
Yes.
And how you were telling me how minimal the stuff they use is.
Yes.
Like actually they like, tell me if I'm wrong, but like you told me that they're literally it's just the two of them making the song. Like he's producing, she's giving the ideas, she's singing, and they're just doing it like the two of them. There's no big team. There's no, there's no like super expensive like thing that they use.
No, they record in their bedroom, and they're using like not anymore, but when they first started out, like Ocean Eyes was recorded on $100 mic. Like
imagine like. And it's the fucking greatest.
Yeah, and there's some asshole being like, yeah, that mic's not good enough. Like, you have to use this one. And then it's like, wait, but this song has like 3 billion streams. It like changed, it's changed people's lives. And they recorded it because it's not about the fucking gear. It's not like, yes, the gear, if you know how to use it, can make a dip. Sorry, I have your belief in my throat.
I think I took the first sip. I should have the leaf.
Like if you have the greatest paint ever, like it's gonna be beautiful. But if you have the greatest paint ever and make something that's shitty, you're just it's like, okay, it's a shitty painting with great paint. Yeah. That's what it is. It's not a great painting,
And that's super interesting because I think that it also it's also creating a sense of, if I'm not doing something great with that because now I bought it, it's gonna be...
It puts more pressure on you.
Yes, obviously. You're so right. And I felt that so much with that paint that I bought. Like I bought like the golden.
Yeah. You're like, I better do something good with this or else I'm not getting my money's worth.
And like, so I think it's not a bad idea that I bought it because you have to say that the paint is really beautiful and like the colors are insanely beautiful.
Yep.
And I'm glad that I bought it. But it's not enough. And you're not going to rely just on that paint. And we were actually talking about that in the percentage of how we felt, And I feel like, I think you told me it's about like 80% it's like your skill, your creativity. And then maybe you can add like 10% if you buy that thing.
Right.
But then if you just buy that thing, but you have nothing else like deep inside, you're just going to have 10% of a good piece,
That's all it is, right? And that 10% is way less. Like it accounts for way less when the 80% hasn't been reached. You know what I'm saying? And that's really all it is. That's why it's like, don't worry about that until you get like really, really fucking good.
Yes, that's it. And if you really want to reach these little percentages because you think that that's the only thing that you can improve on now, or because the rest you've worked like really hard on the rest for like 10 years. And now you're like, but let's like switch something and just like add a little thing. And then that makes sense. But like, I think it's also the same thing for me for like the material that I used to paint on. And like how I was telling you that I'm super nervous when I'm opening a canvas because it's more expensive because I'm here in Spain for only 3 months and then I have to go back to France and then I have to bring all the canvases with me. And it's super big and it's like everything with my current situation right now, it's not ideal. But you're telling me like it's not because it's not ideal that you should not do it, which is true.
Yes.
But then
you can't
make it work.
What?
You can make it work.
Oh, you can, and you can't like worry about how it's gonna work when you're making it because that's not the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's and like that's something that you should worry after you create it.
Exactly.
That's not something like you still have nothing right now. Yeah. Why are you even thinking about bringing it back to home?
Right,
like,
right.
You don't have anything.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And if you're still thinking about bringing it like back home, then you're just not gonna do anything,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Mm-hmm. But I still think that. So then I started like use paper and like big papers like that, and then it helped me so much. And I actually love like how it feels
Mm-hmm.
like painting on paper. I like that the surface is like really like just like even, you know, and there's no like just like when you paint like on a canvas, you can see like the I don't know how to say it. Just the like how it is and like the texture under.
Yeah.
And
the paper is completely smooth, right?
Yeah.
So you create your own
and
texture.
I like that. Yeah. And I really like that. But I'm not saying I'm not going to paint on canvases, but I'm saying I just tried to find like another way to apprehend it because I knew that I was too nervous to open a canvas and actually do something because it's so expensive because blah, blah, blah. And paper appeared like actually a great solution. But
and then it also becomes a solution to a logistical problem, but then it becomes an artistic, like a new choice that you're making as an artist.
And then it becomes like part of me and my art. And like, why would I like choose that? And that because there's a reason for like everything that you choose to like use.
Yep.
But I don't know where I was going.
Well, I think it's like the limitation can create more or can lead to more creative choices or more creative things in general. Like, you know what I mean?
That's what my art teacher was saying me. She was like, okay, but then let's just use all of these problems that you have because you're like not a student or working anymore. So you're like just a full-time artist. So like you don't have a lot of money to put into the material that you use. And you don't have a lot of space. And you don't have, like, you're only staying there for 3 months. So take all of that and find a way to counter everything. And find a way for that to be a strength. Yeah. You know?
Like use the weaknesses.
In your advantage.
To your advantage.
And turn it as a strength. Yeah. And, you know.
I love it.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
And I think it's a great thing to keep in mind when you want to start something new. And you feel like because you're new to this, you need all this setup and all these things because you're new. So you think that the only thing that differentiate you to the good like artists that do that is just the material because then you're just human. So like why I just need what he has and then I can do the same.
No.
Which is not true.
Not true at all.
So like you were telling me that like for the music, like just get a fucking computer. Just I don't know. You need literally nothing.
Yeah.
And just do it.
Yeah.
And just in the music that I like to, they were saying that like if you want to make a movie, just get your fucking phone, make a movie, and like you don't have a camera, you don't have a microphone, we don't care. Start somewhere, do something, you know, and
Yes, I love it. It's so true. Like, yeah, and you know, one last thing on this, and then we'll move on. I think like back to like the companies that are like advertising this stuff to you, like. Usually the things that like the highest quality, highest end material, gear, whatever, that's the most expensive is like we were saying, accounting for the smallest percentage of like a $3,000 microphone is gonna be 5% better than a $500 microphone. But if you're at a point where there's nothing you can do as the engineer or as the artist to get that 5%, that's when that $3,000 becomes worth it because there's nothing else you can do to achieve the last 5%. Yeah. Right?
Because you've done everything else. You've worked on everything else. Yeah.
So that's why it's so expensive because
it's meant for people who actually have experienced all the other things.
Yes.
And that now need even more.
Yes.
And like, that makes sense for them in that spot.
Exactly.
To like get them. Yeah.
Exactly.
True.
All right, let's do one more.
And then we should eat.
And then it's lunchtime. Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I'm so hungry.
All right, I think this is a good one to end on.
Up.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Because I feel like we're here. I'm doing music, you're painting, right? Doing visual art. And yet we're like relating to each other and aligning on so many different things, right? Like, so is the experience of being an artist like
similar,
dependent on the medium that you make, or is it all the same thing? Like, are we all doing the same thing? We're just choosing to do it in different ways. Like,
interesting.
What do you think?
I think it's mainly the main thing. It's mainly the same thing.
Mainly the same thing.
Yeah. Fuck it up. like
what is the same? And
so
what is different?
I think we just both share a need to share and to create. So just like put into life things that are in our head and that we feel that are like relevant, showing to the world. And I think that's literally the strongest like common point with like all artists.
It's driving all artists.
Yes.
Like the desire to express and create and whatever is regardless of how you create or what you use to create. It's the same. Yeah. I fully agree with that. That in its essence is the same for everyone.
I think that's literally the essence of it. Yeah. And what's like pushing people to do it. Because I mean, like painters, for instance, like good luck actually making money and being like super rich. So like it can be something that drives you. Because if you decide to do it, you're literally not after money. Because you would have chosen something else.
I don't think any artists really...
I think so. That's the thing. I think for music, it's easier to visualize the artist life as a dream life because we have way more examples of people being like super successful in music and rich and and super successful and like the show life and being on tour. And I think that's something that can drive people, can drive some people. And it's not the good reason, but it can be something, And I think for painting, you don't really have. I mean, you do. Obviously, you do have like a lot of artists that live from that, but it's way less like mainstream and it's not, we don't see as many. If you're not really interested in like arts, like visual arts, you would not know them. Like the current, like super famous artists,
I would argue, and you're 100% right about that. The way that culture treats music is way different than the way that culture treats painting, art, whatever, that kind of stuff, fine art, whatever you want to call it.
Which also makes sense because like music can, like is with you with so many aspects of your life in your car, when you get ready, when you're walking in the street, and you're not looking at art on your phone when you're like, I don't know, like every time, to like just like relax and you're like, oh, let's look at a painting. Like I'm doing that because I'm obsessed. But if you're not really like passionate about that, it's not something that is gonna be every day in your life. You're just like going to a museum because you're traveling and then But yeah, I think it's super different then, and I think that can drive people differently.
Yes, but I will argue that the people that are driven by the fame and the wealth and the success and the attention are not artists.
Probably.
They're entertainers. You know what I mean?
Or just like business.
Or businessmen. Or whatever, businesswomen, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I don't think that is the same thing. And I think
agree,
I don't have anything against that.
No,
But if you're
I just think it's not going to work in the end.
It's probably not. Yeah, it's probably not.
But I agree. Because then the essence is not the same. Because there's no urge of expressing and like creating.
But it's also like artists, we do want attention. Like every artist I know, like no matter how much they claim that they don't.
Your art wants attention.
Well, that's what
the
it
difference.
is. Yes. Like you want to bring attention to something, to a part of you.
Because you think that it's like special enough that you created it, and because you felt the urge to bring it to life, then if you do, it's because you want to share it with people. Because you think that it's worth it and it's worth seeing and it's worth experimenting, know? But I do agree, like obviously you want people to be interested in your art. But then I think it's less about you, but more about maybe music, it's a bit different because like usually you go on tour if you're like super famous and then you cannot like dissociate.
You can't separate
you
the art
to
from the artist.
The art. That's it.
Because the art is,
people
you
come
are
to
a
see
vessel
you.
for the art. But for you, it's like the art's on the canvas and then that becomes the...
and you're not going to be standing at the museum like next to your art for like 3 years.
Right. Yeah.
That's me, bro.
True. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Like we differ on this, I think. When is something ready for you to share? You mentioned that before.
I think it's super different because like I think for that, like different types of art are super different for that answer.
You do?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I think like for music, requires you to be way more ready and to have work through the whole thing before releasing it. You know?
But let's say like let's not use like releasing on like a platform or like putting it out or like
showing
posting
to
it.
someone,
Like sharing it with somebody. Like let's use the most simple example. Like somebody comes to your house and you have a room with all your paintings in it, and
for me it's always shareable.
so no matter what stage of the process, you can just bring them in and be like, but when something's unfinished, are you gonna say, yo, that one's not done though, just so you know, like that's
Probably.
unfinished? Yeah,
Probably.
Okay,
but
what if it's like there's a whole room of paintings?
Hear me out.
and the person is like, oh, bring me one, like pick one. Like what's the one that you're picking, choosing
The one
to
that
share?
I'm currently obsessed with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
The one I feel like, oh my God, I did that.
Yeah,
I'm super proud. And I feel like if someone's tell you, okay, can I listen to one of your song? Like, can you play one? Which one are you gonna choose? Actually, which one? I want to.
It's probably nice. It's always nice with you. I feel like that one is just like the easiest to get into. But the thing is, like,
I would say Birds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love that song. I love all the songs. But that's the point. It's like those songs have been deemed shareable to me, so it doesn't matter which one I show. Like, yeah, I have a preference. I might want to show this one over the other one.
Yeah.
But they're all, you can listen to each one of them, and I feel like you understand who I am as an artist, and like those are ready and finished and good for the world to hear.
Yeah.
And I think it's an interesting thing. I think like something is ready to be shared when you want your friends to see it. That's it.
Yeah, true. And when you feel like, yeah, it's a moment. Like I'm ready to hear what people think of it.
Yeah.
You know. And I also feel like we're very different on the point that when something is not ready and like all done for you, you don't want to really share it because you need the person who's listening it to have the full vision and to be given all the, you know, like the whole thing and not just like a starting point because it's going to look so different.
I don't want them to have to fill the gaps in. Like I want the gaps to be filled, or at least a certain amount of gaps to be filled. And then another thing is that I just don't want anything else changing the way I see the song. And like if I haven't created enough of it yet, I don't want what somebody else, even though I'm not going to be like, oh, I have to do that now that they said it. It still changes how you view it. You know what I mean? If somebody's like, oh, wait, what? Like, I really like how this is doing that. And then I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. Fuck. Like now I'm completely lost. Like I don't even know what this is.
So you don't
anymore.
want to be influenced?
There's a point where I'm ready to be influenced. But if it's too soon in the process, then the influence does more harm than good.
Yeah, because it takes you away to what you would have thought.
Yeah.
Instead of what they think.
That's okay though, at a certain point. Like I'm inviting, like the whole point of some like sharing and getting perspective from someone is not so that they can tell you how to make it better or what to do. It's so that you can experience it differently.
Yeah.
But when I still don't know what the thing is, what the song is, I'm not ready to experience it differently because I don't even know what it is yet. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm just like whenever I'm painting something, I'm just like sharing pictures of like all the fucking steps because I'm just so excited. I was like, oh my God, today we did that. I'm just like, yay. And I usually know what I'm going to do next. And I know
So you already know what it is by the time you're sharing it, even though it's not all there.
Probably.
Interesting.
I don't know, actually. Because like the one that I'm doing right now, I don't know what's going to be next.
Yeah.
I know it's not done, but I know what's going to be next.
Yeah. But like in a way, like if it's like excerpts, like if you share, like yesterday you shared like just a little excerpt of the painting where like you worked on the detail of the faces and like all that stuff. And that in it can exist on its own. Like there's no gaps to be filled there. You're like, oh wow, I get it. Like that's a little, and this might be something about how you create paintings because like here, like this, yes, it's one painting, but there are little sections that you can just, whatever. Like
so maybe it's easier to share because it's not just like one face, for instance.
Yeah.
And then it's just gonna be like the same face, but like with more colors. Maybe.
But,
so I can show like finished like products on its own, and then it just comes together.
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, it's like, oh, I'm working on this song. I really love the verse right now, so I'll share just an excerpt of the verse on Instagram or TikTok, and like you'll be able to like understand what that is.
Yep.
But like if I put the whole song out on Spotify, you would be lost. You'd be like, what is this? This is not, the verse is really cool, but it's not a full song.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
So you would be ready to share like some part of your music that you're really excited and sure about.
yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Should we eat?
I'm so hungry.
Let's eat. That was fun.
And I was sitting on my ankle the whole time. And it hurts now.
Fuck.
Imagine my phone just stopped.
I feel like it did.
No.